Hello everyone. So now we are going to discuss about the default route. Generally in the real scenario, what we will do, we will use the default route if we want to forward the traffic to ISP. Imagine if you have your organization, same thing as we discussed, this is your core router. This is your core router connected to ISP, okay? And you want to send the traffic to ISP. Imagine someone is accessing the google.com and you don't know what is the IP for Google, what is the IP for Facebook. You have so many websites, not only one or two, maybe XYZ, ABC, so many websites. It is difficult for you to store all the entry in the routing table, and your routing table is not stable if you make more entry, because this router is not that much capable to enter all the internet routes. ISP is having the high configuration router, he can store, but in our router no need to store all the information. So what we will do, we will say to our core router, if you receive any request for any network, if you cannot find in your router, forward that traffic to our ISP router. To do that one, we will use the default route. We will use default route. So what we will do, we will ask ISP to give the public IP. ISP will give you 1.1.1.1, okay, /30. Any range they can give. So example, if they give you /30, you have the 6 IP. So one IP we will assign here 1.1.1, and ISP will assign here another IP 1.1.1.2, and then we can do the default route to this IP. Okay, let's do one lab so you will have the more idea. We will do one lab for this one. Okay, default route. This is very important. First of all, let me give you some theory about this one before going to the lab. So first thing, what we will say, default route also we need to configure manually. Okay, it is a manual configuration, single route for the entire destination. If we don't know anything about different network, just we will configure the default route, saying that if you receive request for any network which we don't have, forward that all traffic to ISP. So single entry we will do for entire routing table. Manually we need to configure, and we use these to forward the traffic towards the ISP router. Default route is used to go to the internet. If internet is nothing but any website, if your organization, if anyone want to access any website, but that website entry is not present in our routing table, so what we will do, we will forward that traffic to ISP router. So we can say default route is used to go to internet. Default route is used for unknown destination. If we don't know the destination, we will use default route to forward the traffic to the ISP. Default route is last prefer route in the routing table. In our routing table, default route is going to prefer at last. Okay, at last means whenever we have the entry in the routing table, this will come at last. And when there is a no entry for the destination network in the routing table, then router is going to forward to default route. At last he is going to forward. Default route reduce the routing table size also, because if you want to enter the routes for google.com, facebook.com, twitter.com, all the websites, it will increase the routing table size. If you do only default route and forward the traffic towards the ISP, it will reduce the size of your routing table. Default route also known as gateway of last resort. Gateway of last resort is also, default route is also called as gateway of last resort. We are going to see that one. And how we can configure the default route? We can configure, we can write IP route 0.0.0.0, give space 0.0.0.0, and then next hop. Next hop is nothing but ISP router. So this way we can configure the default route. Let's do the configuration so you will have idea. What I will do, we will use this scenario. Imagine, okay, this one is our company network. Okay, whatever we have, this is our company. Imagine we have the ISP. Okay, we have the ISP, internet service provider, this one, and we want to forward our traffic to ISP. So you buy the internet connection, you purchase the internet connection from the ISP. So ISP told you here we cannot connect, so what we will do, we will add the port here. How we will add the port, let me show you in the packet tracer. I will save the configuration, then we will go in the physical, and we will switch off the router, and then we will check the cards here. This is a fast Ethernet to one interface, so I will check this is a fast Ethernet, not this. We can check here, this one is a Ethernet, this is a fast Ethernet, only one port, one is sufficient for us, so we can drop here, and I will open the router. Now I will connect this from here to here. Okay, I switch on the router, or let me check. Yeah, I switch on the router. Okay, so what I done, ISP connection I connected here. Imagine ISP give you one IP address, any IP we can use. For lab purpose we can use any IP. Imagine ISP give me 1.1.1. ISP give me 1.1.1. Okay, and here ISP told forward your traffic to 1.1.2. So ISP configured this IP to ISP router, and he told to use as this IP, and he told make the default route towards this IP. So how we are going to do? First of all, we need to assign the IP here. Okay, so let me take the notepad. Where is our notepad for this lab? This is a basic static route. Okay, here in the router R2 we will do the configuration. So in R2 we will have one more interface now. Let me write the configuration here only, so you can revise later. So we have one more interface here. ISP give this interface fast Ethernet 1/0. This IP ISP give. So I will write interface fast Ethernet 1/0. IP address 1.1.1.1 255.0.0.0. I will write no shut here. Okay, this is the IP ISP give us. So I will write IP route. We need to give default route. Default route, then we need to write 4 times 0. This is any IP with any subnet mask. 0.0.0.0, 0.0.0.0 means any IP with any subnet mask. If you receive, I am telling to this router R2, I am saying R2, if you receive any IP with any default, any subnet mask, forward that all traffic to this IP. ISP will tell you, assign this IP to your router and forward the default route to this IP. He will give you. So then you will write that IP, whatever IP ISP give you. So ISP give us this IP. So this is only the default route. Okay, so let's do, and let's verify this is working or not. So what I will do, I will go in the router R2, and then we will do this here. So here I think all the configuration before we have. Let's see. Yeah, we have show IP route static. We have static route also. Okay, so now I will go in the global configuration mode, and then I will paste the configuration whatever we wrote. So if you see, I assign this IP address and I do the default route. And if we check here, show IP route, we will have the default route is not there. Why we don't have? Because this interface is still down, that's why we don't have default route. When this interface come up, then we will have the default route in our routing table. Okay, but now if you see here, it is saying that gateway of last resort is not set, means we don't have default route. And if you see here, we don't have anything 0.0.0, only static route we have. If anyone is pinging like 8.8.8 or anything, that traffic will drop here only. Okay, it will not go to the ISP. So we need to configure to the ISP. So what I will do here, we need to do the ISP configuration also. So we will go here. Let me divide the page. But in real scenario, we will not configure. We will not do ISP configuration. Okay, ISP router configuration ISP only do. But here for lab purpose, we are doing the ISP also. So we will write enable config t host name as ISP. And then what is the interface? Fast Ethernet 0/0, and what is the IP address having the ISP 1.1.1.2, then 255.0.0.0, and then we write no shut. Okay, so this is the ISP router configuration. So I will copy this configuration, I will paste this in the ISP router. So this is the ISP router. We will go here, we will write here no, and then we will paste this configuration here. So I hope everything is good here, no error, because here we cannot see any error here. So we can write here show IP interface brief to just to verify ports are up, IP is okay. So now it will work. So now we can go inside the R2 and we can write here show IP route. If you see IP route S star, if you see what is the S star here, you will have star here default, okay, candidate default, and S means default route S star. With any IP, with any subnet mask, forward the traffic to this. This is a ISP IP address. And if you see, before we have gateway of last resort is not set. Here we are saying that if anyone want to go anywhere, if we don't have entry in our routing table, forward the traffic here. And what we told by default whatever routes what we told, default route will come in the routing table at last. So if you see, this came at last only. They will check first in our routing table. If they have, they will forward. If we cannot find that entry in our routing table, they will forward the traffic at last to the default route. Okay, so this is a default route. How we configure? This is a configuration. This is a configuration. Just we need to write IP route 0.0.0, 0.0.0, and the ISP IP, whatever ISP give you that IP. And when you check, you will have the like this way. S star is nothing but default route. This is a default route, and you will see this one also, gateway of last resort. So if you see, this is the theory just now what we discussed, here to here. This is a default route. So let me stop this recording.